everybody. I have these things that I'm supposed to start saying, and I'm going to, but I just want to go off script for a moment and say thank you to everyone in this room. It is no secret, I say it all the time, the taxi cabs and the other screens that you might find around the world have definitely built my business far more than classic television, so thank you. Thank you. And obviously, we are not on the steps of my brownstone today, but here we are in gorgeous Midtown Manhattan. And speaking of gorgeous, I'm very pleased to announce my first and only guest of the day, Mr. Barry Frey, the CEO of DPAA. Come on over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello again. Nice to see you.
It's so lovely to see you again. Please.
Gorgeous, not me. Her.
Are we switching sides?
No, you sit on your side. I don't want. That's your side.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I've actually, the one problem, it's interesting. The video everywhere has allowed me to stay home and do my show every day, so I actually never leave the house. So this feels very uncomfortable for me to not be, sitting at home, but I'm glad to have such a
Make yourself comfortable, Kat.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat. And Kat is one of the true digital place-based media stars. It's great, we talk about digital place-based media. You've actually emerged, and a lot of your success is due to screens in taxis and video everywhere.
When I started in this industry, if you had told me that I was going to build a career in the back of cabs, I would have said that's not exactly the kind of business I had in mind. Right. However, it is really, I've seen it change from the time I got into the cabs, which was, oh my gosh, 6 years ago.
Right.
I used to have 2.5 minutes to tell stories. We could not get arrested in the cabs. No one wanted to be in the cabs. Now I have to fight for the 55 seconds per piece that I have. It just shows that people have quickly recognized the power of that screen. And when I have guests over and they say, oh, I can't say that about Robert De Niro because he might see this in a cab, I swoon. I mean, it's true. That really happens.
You make a good point about the length. We've got a lot of great screens and video everywhere, and depending on the venue, we kind of tailor that experience for the amount of time that people are in front of the screen. So you evidently have kind of got it down to a great show. And how long is your taxi show?
55 seconds.
Fabulous. So that's great.
27 seconds on gas pumps.
Ah, okay.
Try to tell a full story in 27
More
seconds.
digital place-based media.
Oh, as my husband says, don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Okay.
No, not only you, I mean about telling the story in 27 seconds. So, you are president and CEO. It's a big title, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds big title.
Of Digital Place-Based Ad Association. And when I first heard it, I thought it was play space. So I'm changing it today. It's the play space. We're playing in the space today. And let's talk about what the play space or the place-based media is.
Great. So place-based media is defined as digital video screens that are networked that deliver programming, content, and advertising in places where people dwell. So it's very much video, it's very omnipresent, and we've got some examples of it actually today. In fact, what you'll see is we've got digital place-based video everywhere, nice graphics coming around all over. We've got screens everywhere, by the way, today, because video is everywhere. And when we get down to seeing some of the exact screens of where it is, they exist in airports, in airlines, backs of seats. We also see them in airline clubs, for instance. This is some of the screens that you see around. And basically, it's in everybody's daily journey throughout the day. And speaking of some daily journeys, they're in elevators and office buildings. Who is that?
That's so funny.
And then the taxi, looking at Kat Greenleaf over there.
I'm looking at you back. That's the part of the technology you don't know is I'm looking at you back. Kidding.
We actually don't have much of a small budget, so they had to follow me around in my journey, although I would probably prefer to use the RMG flight attendants you may see out there outside. More screens throughout the day on a digital journey. We're in a restaurant here, and then in the mall. It's great mall space over there, as you can see. And then preparing for the summit, I went to get my nails done. Actually, this is getting me in touch with my feminine side. Thank you very much.
It worked.
To kind of get it. But you see a screen is right there as well. And then as we continue along the daily journey, office building lobbies are very important, very omnipresent screens once again. And then look at my stocks. Oh no, stocks have gone down, unfortunately. So then I went to a QSR where there were screens, and then to a pharmacy. Probably not a great idea after the QSR to go to the pharmacy. And this is where you could actually test your vital signs. Right. And as I was testing my vital signs, I got the report back. Yeah.
No,
it didn't work out well.
You could have done that. Anyway.
But I had a plan, Kat. And after that, because of what they showed me in terms of all my cholesterol and everything, then I went off to the gym. And lots of screens in the gym. Look at the screens on the equipment. And as you can see, the screens are very omnipresent and throughout our daily life and our journey. And then the screens all around the gym on the side, as you can see as well. And then finally, I got back in touch with my masculine side. So there I am on my daily journey going through screens throughout the day.
And the content is different in each place, correct?
Yes.
So people can really meet their viewers specifically.
The content is relevant for what the environment is and for the people that are in that specific environment.
Okay, so that's what the screens do. Let's talk about DPAA specifically. What do you do?
What do we do? So the DPAA is a trade association that works with the networks, who are the media owners, and advertisers and agencies with the tech and research partners that we have to better enable the planning and buying of digital place-based media. Now, media to some degree is something Kat knows well about because your dad was actually one of the original madmen at J. Walter Thompson.
And I'm sorry for what he did promoting cigarettes and coffee. He would not have done that now, but anyhow.
But he helped the American economy and made for good television fodder on after that.
He's Don Draper. It's true. I really would rather have Roger if I could pick one of the Mad Men.
Sterling.
Yeah. Are you a Roger or a Don?
Great.
Yeah.
I kind of like both.
You like both?
Yeah.
All right, Joan, everybody would want Joan, right? So that's what you do here. Now, this industry has grown and changed so much, even in the time that I've been in media. Where do you see it going forward?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of great growth, and it's been very exciting recently. We took a look, in fact, at the past 6 months, year on year to last year in growth, and we've had tremendous revenue growth. We're almost 15%. In fact, we only trail the internet in terms of the year-on-year revenue growth. So because it's video, because it's screens, because people are consuming video everywhere, we've seen a lot of good growth, and we hope to aggressively continue with our advertiser friends in the room.
Speaking of our advertiser friends in the room, let's talk about money. I understand classic budgets, and NBC has been lovely about really teaching me along the way, not just how to make television, but how to monetize it, and that's important. But so how are the budgets working when it comes to these types of screens? Is it the same budget, a different budget?
That's a good question. You know, traditionally, much of the money came from out of home. And now that video is everywhere, we are video and very digital. Now, while even some of the out-of-home folks in the room are maybe actually doing the buying, the money originally may have been coming from television budgets or digital budgets. So we are seeing a shift from out-of-home budgets to generating more out of television because we're delivering Nielsen rating points, we're delivering digital impressions, interactivity, and other elements. And in fact, what I have here is actually a lot of the reason for the growth. And we have digital attributes, as I mentioned, the Nielsen impressions I mentioned, and our screens are very omnipresent. So that's why a lot of the money now is starting to shift from just an out-of-home area to other budgets coming from different places. There we go, a little source of budget screen.
That is amazing. I didn't know about the Nielsen's. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's a shift. You know, all of media, and in fact the theme of what we're doing today is video everywhere, where no longer is television viewing just tethered to the family room or the living room. Now video is being consumed everywhere in a variety of devices and a variety of on-demand places. So planners and buyers are looking at how to get more of this video agnostic planning and buying going, meaning I want video impressions. So we are a very important part of that ecosystem.
Absolutely, and what's so fascinating about this particular time in technology and history and in making television is it's so new that we're all really learning together. I mean, even the experts in the room haven't probably been at it all that long. You know, my content was among the first in the cabs, and so I'm like the grandmother of the cabs. That's all. But I've had to change and morph also a lot. So really, I like that we're all kind of not making it up as we go along, but learning from each other and learning together. I guess bringing us to today, what are we going to be talking about? What are we going to be learning and sharing?
Well, that makes sense. And the reason we're all learning together is that technology continues to innovate good products. And as new products are innovated, it changes consumer habits. So we all have to learn how to follow those eyeballs and get back those impressions for our brands. In fact, last night, David Verkland led a great discussion where we had a significant media and advertising folks all trying to figure out ourselves, where is it going to be, and how do we get there? So you're absolutely right, it's consistent learning. And today we're going to talk about basically video being everywhere, being omnipresent. Here's a nice little graphic that visually describes what we're looking at. So as I mentioned before, with video being everywhere, people are consuming it everywhere, we are now an important part of that ecosystem, and that's what a lot of today's discussions will be.
You know, being the person on the other side of this, making the content, it's interesting. The time periods allotted in each of these screens almost dictates how I do my job, because I want to make sure I reach people most effectively. And for you all, where the screens are dictates how you spend money or where people are, where you put your screens. So really, our businesses are informing and helping each other.
And you're absolutely right, too, about what you say about time periods. In fact, because all of our screens are digital, they are very dynamically triggered and targeted to day parts. So for instance, you can come out of an office building and be promoted for dinner preparation food. You could be going in a taxi cab and seeing something about New York, or say you could be in a gym and you're getting an advertisement, whether contextually for the environment or where you are in that day part. So the beauty is, because they're all networked and digital, we can actually tailor and trigger it by day part as well as by environment.
Which feels very Jetsons to me.
Yes, it is, right.
You've been in TV a long time. When you got into television, I'm sure, you thought, television, sits in the living room, I know about that. What's the craziest place you've put a screen since you got into this part of the business that you never would have thought of?
Craziest place I've put a screen? Well, you know, it's interesting, as we all travel a lot, and it's so interesting how hotels are building the screens right in the bathroom, right over the sink. So you see a lot of mirrors that become the TV when you put it in. I don't know where the craziest, how about you?
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
But you know, with screens being everywhere, you can basically take whatever you want in any place. And the beauty about our screens is that as you're on your daily journey, as I mentioned, there's always these screens around, and they're conducive to the environment, so they're not intrusive. Right. You know, in the mall, it's got programming that's conducive to your shopping experience, as an example, and it's there to consume. In the elevator, you know, it's got great news and information. In the lobbies, in the gyms, evidently health and fitness. So the screens are where you want them, and they're very closely aligned to the place and time of where you are as a consumer.
I find it a great opportunity as a content producer. You know, I find the challenge exciting. And listen, when you get in an elevator, you don't know who the other 9 people are. So everyone's going to have a different thing that they're interested in or want to see. So to try to make something that's fascinating to everybody, or not so specialized that you're only... For example, my husband got in the elevator at CBS last week and he saw my face. Now, he was the only one out of the 9 guys in the elevator that cared, but but it was interesting to me. It was the first time he'd ever seen me out of home like that, and it was really exciting to him, so it got me thinking about...
Well, look at that. Advertising works.
I follow him everywhere.
So those are the Captivate elevators where we actually ran ads for this, and it worked. But you bring up a great point about programming for the people and the beauty and the kind of the difference between out-of-home advertising and what we are is that we are actually programming for the environment. We're not just putting up ads like some out-of-home advertising. And it is a challenge to do it, but we've got a lot of smart programmers at all of these networks that design the content to fit in with the ads and the environment. So thank you for bringing that point up.
Well, and please keep in touch.
As a producer.
Well, yeah, and please keep in touch with me about what people want to hear and see. Because, listen, we're in this to give the people what they want.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so do keep me posted as things progress.
Kat, you've had a lot of success, or certainly starting with digital place-based media, and now, as we saw earlier, you're doing network television. You're hosting the daytime, and I'd like 2 questions I want to ask you, if that's okay.
So
one is, tell me a little bit about your USA show, and how many taxi cabs are you actually in at this point in time?
At this point in time, well, so in New York City, NBC has over 7,000 taxis. And if you happen to get into a taxi that's not NBC, just get right out. You just tell them to stop. I'm kidding. Then we are in the top 8 markets across the country. So 7,000 plus here, and then many times over coast to coast, which is a great thing if you have parents who live in California, because oh my God, they can't believe it. Oh, like a whole APB goes out. They tell everybody they know. So, so numbers wise, and we're growing because we're also in the PATH trains. We are in the nail salons. American Airlines just picked us up, and it's something else, but that's, you know, another, there's more screens.
Well, that's a big area we are. I mean, between the airports and the plane back seats, and talk about kind of an omnipresent view. I mean, you can't avoid the programming and advertising.
Well, right, and then when they make you turn off your iPhone, you know, and that, I don't know why that's going to save the world, but sometimes you have to, so that programming is really what you need, and it's really, it's a good moment for us. The gas pumps has been an incredible thing. I cannot tell you how often I hear from people.
Right.
That's who I know my fancy friends are, the people who, hey, just thinking of you. No, you're not. You're filling up your SUV or you're taking a taxi. I know why you're thinking of me, but anyhow. So that's the numbers. And then the craziest thing happened, and I do believe it's based on the fact that Talk Stoop was in the cabs. I mean, Talk Stoop grew out of a little, I was a features reporter on the local station just up the street here and doing this funny little interview show, and USA saw it and they saw the value. They're already the #1 network in daytime and primetime, but harder to monetize daytime. Well, not if you've got someone sitting on their stoop talking to celebrities holding this mug, or whatever the mug would say. For example, it might say, oh, whatever brand you are, but the fact
video everywhere.
Video everywhere.
Right.
But the fact that USA, such a big network, picked up on a smaller idea like mine really speaks to the power of this type of viewing. So this is a pretty exciting moment for my show personally, and I do think for the industry. And I'm not just saying that because we're sitting here. I am excited by technology. I'm a dork. That's it. All right, I'm a dork. So with that, when do we let the games begin? Do we light something?
Absolutely.
Do we pass a torch? How do we do it?
Well, I want to thank you for appearing here, and thank you so much. We have a true digital place-based media star. I think I do want to do one thing before we leave, is take a look at what's upcoming in today's agenda.
Yes, please.
So we've got a great lineup of senior level advertising and agency folks. First, we're starting with a very high level look of screens and videos being everywhere. Then we've got a panel on video agnostic planning and buying, which speaks to, as I mentioned earlier, advertisers need video impressions. Do I get them online? Do I get them in digital place-based media? Do I get them on television? Because it's all video, and that's a trend that is actually our friend and working very well for us. Then we've got a panel on a very hot topic, programmatic or automatic trading and exchanges. This is an area where there's a little bit of less humans, but really more like a stock exchange, where people put up inventory for sale and buyers and sellers have this work together. It's a little different than the Mad Men days your dad walked in, but
but that's where it's headed.
It is headed there, and in fact, we're going to have a very interesting dialogue later with Mr. Ken Oletta, the prolific media pundit and New Yorker magazine and bestseller, where we're going to talk about Mad Men versus Math Men and kind of how all that comes together and grows. And then we got a great creative guru, John Bond, formerly of Kirschenbaum and Bond, one of the great creative geniuses, going to look at some digital place-based media advertising and how we do that. And then we've got Rupert Day, who's the CEO of 10th Avenue, who's going to be interviewed by my good friend Jack Myers. And they'll do kind of a back and forth on also where media is going, where digital is going, and how that all happens. So that's it. And I think we've got the biggest star of all, Kat Greenleaf, who was one of the original digital place-based media stars. And I thank you very much for coming. Kat Greenleaf, let's give her a hand.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Kat. It was
Really
wonderful.
fun.
Great. Thank you. So everybody, thank you, Kat, so much. This is great. And I want to welcome everybody to the 6th Annual Digital Place-Based Media Conference, Video Everywhere. So we've got a great lineup today, as I mentioned. And before we get into that, you know, media and marketing people have always been some kind of good predictors, prognosticators, pundits, if you will, of technology and media usage. So I'd like to get a little kind of sense in this room with some morning exercise. If we could all limber up a little bit and stretch. I think you've had your coffee. We filled up the room. Boy, we even have some standing room only today, which is great. Thank you all for coming. So let's take a look at kind of some of the kind of media habits that we have. And I don't know if this is, okay, some more video everywhere. Let me ask you all, who is consuming video these days on laptops? Can I see a show of hands of that? Look at that. That looks like about 3/4 of the room. That's great. How about consuming it on mobile devices? Okay, looks like everybody's consuming that. I'll walk back up, David, just for a second. I want to kind of see. Nice to see you. How you doing? Good. How about people that are consuming on tablets? Look at that, a lot of video on tablets. How about phablets? Anybody have a phablet? Anybody admit to it? Great. There you go, very good. You know what a phablet is? Phablet is actually a large screen. It's a combination of a phone and a tablet. So it's about 5 to 7 inches. In fact, Samsung and others are developing this now so you could watch video as opposed to watching on a small device. So there's tablets, there's phablets, there's mobile. How about over the top? People are watching over the top as well. Video on demand, Netflix. Yeah, there's a lot of that out there. Netflix is doing well. Anybody pick up the new Chromecast by Google? That's a new device that basically enables you full TV to do it. So look, there's a lot of video being, looking at every place, and it really shows how people are consuming video everywhere, which is kind of, very interesting. So I've got one last question for you all. You've seen some people watch video on demand, Netflix. By the way, Netflix just this morning passed HBO in subscription. Who out there, and we're a small group, 500 people, but who out there has actually got a problem with binge viewing? When you watch all the programming in one set, 3 to 4 shows at a time? Yeah, that's starting to happen, so we have a cure for that if you're interested. What we're going to take a look at now is some quotes which will give you kind of an idea of where the industry is headed, and these are quotes from people that are of notable sources and notable experience and knowledge, and it sets the stage for what we're going to look at today. Our first quote, New York Times had a story, this is about 3 weeks ago. NBC spent a lot of money on its million-second quiz, a lot of money on promotion, on production, and really went at it to build an audience here. What they wanted was a national event. What they actually got was a national shrug. It was a 1.0 in adults 18 to 49. Now, 10 years ago, if you would have put that much money behind a production, that much money behind promotion, probably would have generated maybe a 10. This is 1% of available 18 to 49s. Things are changing out there. And then we spent a full 5 hours and 16 minutes a day in front of a screen. This is last week in the Wall Street Journal. And the line after that said, and that's without even turning on a television. So video is everywhere, exactly. And then marketers recognize that digital has become the go-to medium for all sorts of activities on all sorts of screens, at home, at office. This is Randy Rothenberg, head of the IAB, showing the impact, not from us, but from other sources, about how it's a video everywhere environment. And now advertisers, agencies are following the consumers to other video devices. So people are now saying, okay, do I look for my video impressions to, say, online, as Kat and I spoke about? And we get to online, where David Cohn is going to be on one of our panels today, our activation panel, heads up Universal McCann Buying. He says the line of demarcation between TV and digital is going to erode. And that plays, once again, very much into video agnostic. But then once you get to that, then the big companies online are saying, okay, so all that TV money should come my way now. AOL is saying, where does that TV money go? We have video online, should we get it? But I would pause right there for a moment, because video online is not necessarily the scenario. It's not necessarily the answer. New York Times reported there's over 1 million years of video on the web each week. Think about that share of voice. How does an advertiser cut through online like that? How do you get through the cacophony of banners, of links, and other elements that exist online, where there's a lot of content and tough to get through? A very viable means for advertising. But if you think about our screens, very omnipresent, very friendly to the environment, it's a very different scenario. And then, many of you may have seen this big headline in both Adweek and the Wall Street Journal last week, where estimates of 25%, and some people, some big advertisers saying possibly even more, are over 25% of the ads are fraudulent. People have investigated. The Wall Street Journal, Susan Veronica did a big story on this, and then Adweek covered it this week, where they saw how robots or bots are actually clicking away, counting impressions, but they're not real impressions. So the future is screens. Screens will dominate our environment. They're at airports, hotel lobbies. Consumer behaviors will change with the proliferation of screens, and this is from the head of Starcom MediaVest Group, Laura Desmond. So screens continue, and what we're trying to do today is really gain a good understanding of what's happening with these screens and how we participate. So a bit of the vision for today. I was inspired by a great old Chinese proverb. You all familiar with this?
I love that one.
You love that one? Great. Kat understands it, and she knows it. It's from great. So in case some of you folks don't see what that is, tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. So what we're going to do today is involve you, all of the advertisers, the agency, the press, and our networks in the room. what we've done is that we basically have two big themes. One is experiential, which talks to this, and the other evidently is video everywhere. And experiential talks to the fact that we've asked many of our sponsors and our networks to replicate their environments as you've seen outside. Sit in the airline seat, see what the screen is like. Walk past the mall area where you see that big screen that talks about the mall. See the office environment that has been created out there, because this is what it's about. And if you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you could understand it. And we're trying to be very experiential to help our agency and advertiser partners to really understand this medium and the power of this medium. So let me go through, and I'd like to thank the sponsors that have made this event possible, and there's some great partners of our networks in digital place-based advertising. AMI, we have Elevate Digital, IUTA, Broadsign, the Cinema Advertising Council, which will have a nice chat during the lunchtime, Captivate Network, CNN Airport Channel, RMG Networks, which is airports and now offices as well. And then we've got Nielsen, is one of our good partners, now together with Arbitron. We've got the DSF, Myers Media Business Networks, Jack Myers, Lifetime Fitness. I mean, look at the gyms, and please get on the equipment out there and see the power of having a screen in front of you when you're in the gym. Media Post, great media trade. The OAAA, CBS Outernet, Phoenix Marketing International, a good research company. And then we have The List, NEC VukuNet, Verifone, the Wall Street Journal Office Network, Zoom Media and Marketing, AdSpace, the Daily Do, and then Eyes on Media. So basically, as we've been talking about for the past few minutes, technology continues to alter consumer habits. Video viewing is now untethered from the traditional sources, from the living room, from the family room. Video is everywhere, and these impressions have shifted. Consumers are consuming it, so we're going to answer some of the questions today of how can we help advertisers follow these screens everywhere. Let's take a look briefly. As an example, all of our ads are above the fold, so to speak. Digital place-based video is on fully viewable video screens. Think about the visual impact of this. In a lot of ways, we've got better advertising experience than mobile. And then we've got no fraudulent impressions. So let's think about that. And as we mentioned earlier with Kat, our screens enhance the environments. So if video is everywhere, where are you? And I ask you that question to largely starting out to the advertisers and agencies in the room. If video is everywhere, where are your marketing and media budgets? What % is spent with our valuable medium? We're fast growing, we powerfully engage the hard to reach audiences, and what % of your budgets are still spent on traditional television? Are budgets realigned? Is television still doing it for you? How certain are you that your ads on the web are being viewed and counted accurately? Some questions for you all. And for our network partners in the room, are you getting your fair share? Have we been effectively communicating our video and digital opportunities to the ad community? So to help answer these questions, some of them rhetorical and some of them very real questions, the digital place-based industry has come up with answers to help us all follow video everywhere. These solutions will help you to execute the right strategies for your businesses, for your clients, your brands, and everyone's important marketing needs. First, the Digital Place-Based Advertising Association and the members have committed to stepping up our game. We're going to present ourselves to advertisers and agencies relative to your place and ours in the whole marketing ecosystem. We're going to increase customer service, digital offerings, tailored opportunities, native advertising, data, research, and analytics, plus do a better job of merchandising and explaining this. And as part of the strategy, we've instituted frequent CMO and CRO member meetings where critical action steps are developed to better serve our advertiser and agency partners. These are regular meetings, they're consistent, and we're developing steps to get the industry's best practices out to you in the advertising world so you can better understand what we do. The industry is committed to aggressively making it easier for you folks to plan and buy our media. Now, second, and very importantly, we have created and just completed phase 1 of a DPAA-led initiative, which is a test program to provide greater facilitation for brands to buy digital place-based media. It's a work in progress, yet it is already proven to powerfully deliver the 3 important components that we want most: scale, ease, and coverage to our friends in the ad community. We're announcing today that this pilot program has actually already been executed. It's the first and the industry's largest Digital Place-Based Ad Association's 10-network agreement for a major auto manufacturer. We worked very closely with the Group M divisions of Team Detroit, Retail First, and Kinetic to drive Ford Motor advertising for its New York State Tri-State Dealer Association. And as I said, across 10 networks. We put it together, we made it easier. We actually made one-stop shopping for the advertiser and the agencies, one-stop shopping for negotiation, one-stop shopping for the agreement and the execution, as well as the proof of performance. We're trying to make it easier. At the same time, because we covered 10 networks in this geographic area, we covered every important territory for each sales dealer from Ford. We basically designed this because video is everywhere. We're now enabling Ford to send their message everywhere. Now, a very important note, in keeping with the theme of video everywhere, and this has actually become part of Ford's Tier 2 television buy. So this is important now. We actually added to the television buy, and what happened is the original television plan saw an increase vastly extended in reach at 24% above their previous plan to desirable auto and adults 25 to 54. Additionally, the research indicated a significant lift in brand awareness, positive brand impression, a rise in consideration, plus additional increases in auto intenders to visit their websites and to visit the dealerships. The first run of this pilot program has just been completed, and we'll soon be announcing closed agreements with 2 other auto manufacturers. So it's very exciting. We're making it easy, we're making it accessible, and we're doing our job to try to bring to the advertising community a better, more facile way of planning and buying this media. Now, the first run of this pilot has just been completed, and it's a test. You know, we're basically enabling folks to access video everywhere, and this could not have been achieved without the full support of all DPAA members in the room, plus the vision and work of Kinetic, Team Detroit, Retail First, and the Tri-State Ford Dealer Association. I'd like to give all of you a hand for making this happen.